Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you all are having a fantastic day today. Today I'm going to show you top 5 horror games. You can play some games on your low-end PC also. The games I'm going to tell you will have a good storyline, fantastic gameplay, and yeah, they will have high graphics. So before we get started, I want you to like the video, and yeah, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. So let's get started. On number 5 spot, we have the Outlast. In Outlast, the player assumes the role of investigative journalist Miles Upshur, as he navigates a dilapidated psychiatric hospital in Leadville, Colorado that is overrun by homicidal patients. The game is played from a first-person perspective and features some stealth gameplay mechanics. The player can walk, run, crouch, jump, climb ladders and vault over objects. Unlike most games, however, the player does not have a visible health bar on the screen and is unable to attack enemies. The player must instead rely on stealth tactics such as hiding in lockers, sneaking past enemies, staying in the shadows and hiding behind or under things in order to survive. Alternatively, the player can attempt to outrun their pursuer. If the player dies, the game will reset to the most recent checkpoint. Most of the hospital is unlit, and the only way for the player to see while in the dark is through the lens of a camcorder equipped with night vision. Using the night vision mode will slowly consume batteries, forcing the player to scavenge for additional batteries found throughout the asylum. Outlast makes heavy use of traditional jump scares and audio cues, which alert the player if an enemy has seen them. If the player records specific events with their camcorder, Miles will write a note about it, providing further insight into his thoughts. Documents can be collected, which offer backstory and other expository information about the facility, including pages taken from the diaries of patients and reports from the hospital staff. So give it a try if you stealth mode in horror games. On number 4 spot we have Resident Evil series. Resident Evil, also known as Biohazard, is a Japanese horror video game series and media franchise created by Capcom. The franchise follows stories about biological weapons and viral incidents. The game series consists of survival horror, third-person shooter, and first-person shooter games. The franchise has expanded into a live-action film series, animated films, television, comic books, novels, audio dramas, and other media and merchandise. The first game was created by Shinji Mikami and Takuro Fujiwara and was released for the PlayStation in 1996. It is credited for defining the survival horror genre and returning zombies to popular culture. With Resident Evil 4, 2005, the franchise shifted to more dynamic shooting action. It influenced the evolution of the survival horror and third-person genres, popularizing the over-the-shoulder third-person view. Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, 2017, moves the series to a first-person perspective, while Resident Evil Village, 2021, introduced lichens to the series. So definitely give it a try if you love horror survival games. On number 3 spot we have Evil Within series. The Evil Within is a third-person survival horror video game developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game was directed by Resident Evil series creator Shinji Mikami and was released worldwide in October 2014 for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Windows, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. The game centers on protagonist Sebastian Castellanos as he is pulled through a distorted world full of nightmarish locations and horrid creatures. Played in a third-person perspective, players battle disfigured nightmare-like enemies, including bosses, using guns and melee weapons, and progress through the levels, avoiding traps, using stealth, and finding collectibles. The Evil Within received a generally positive reception upon release. Praise was mostly directed at the game's horror elements and atmosphere, while criticism was directed at the game's story, characters and technical issues. A sequel, The Evil Within 2, was released on October 13, 2017. The single-player story is arranged in chapters, which players complete in order to progress through the story. The game is played from a third-person perspective in which scavenging, for supplies and learning when to fight or run are key factors in surviving the dangers of the game. Such dangers include bear traps, barbed wire traps, bombs, and spike traps. So give it a try to this series also. On number 3 spot we have Walking Dead series. The Walking Dead is a graphic adventure, played from a third-person perspective with a variety of cinematic camera angles, in which the player, as protagonist Lee Everett, works with the ragtag group of survivors to stay alive in the midst of a zombie apocalypse. The player can examine and interact with characters and items, and must make use of inventory items in the environment. Throughout the game, the player is presented with the ability to interact with their surroundings, and options to determine the nature of that interaction. For example, the player may be able to look at a character, talk to that character, or if they are carrying an item, offer it to the character or ask them about it. According to Robert Kirkman, The Walking Dead game is focused more on developing characters and story, and less on the action tropes that tend to feature in other zombie-based games, such as Left 4 Dead. Each episode contains 5 points where the player must make a significant decision, choosing from one of 2 available options. Through Telltale's servers, the game tracks how many players selected which option and lets the player compare their choices to the rest of the player base. The game can be completed regardless of what choices are made in these situations. The main events of the story will continue regardless of what choices are made, but the presence and behavior of the non-player characters in later scenes will be affected by these choices. The game does allow the player to make multiple saves, and includes a rewind feature where the player can back up and alter a previous decision, thus facilitating the exploration of alternative choices. So definitely give it a try to this series. You guys can also watch the full series of Walking Dead. On number 1 spot we have Amnesia series. Amnesia is an exploration-based survival horror adventure game played from a first-person perspective. The player takes control of the amnesiac Daniel, as he regains consciousness in Brenberg Castle deep in the Prussian woods, with no memory of where he is or what he's doing there. Throughout the game, Daniel explores the various areas of Brenberg, solves puzzles, avoids enemies, and collects items, notes, and diary entries from his own personal diary, which gradually reveals the events that came to put him in the situation he finds himself in. Daniel stores these diary entries in his journal, along with notes he finds. He will also jot down various hints and reminders, mementos, in this journal, which can remind the player of their current objectives. The game has 2 difficulty settings to choose from, normal mode, and hard mode, which removes a large part of the consumable items, such as oil and tinderboxes, that can found in the game, increases enemy damage and vigilance, and forces the player to discard some of the previously mentioned hard-earned items every time they want to save the game. So guys, that's all for today. If you are a low-end gamer, then go to the description to see which horror games you can play on your PC. So guys, thank you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and always remember, never give up.